point, we've probably been in a few dozen projects together over the years. And we played friends and enemies, and we played couples, but we never have actually met in person until this weekend. That's just the nature of the beast of this industry, because oftentimes, we're recording one at a time in the booth, and so sometimes we don't meet people until way after the fact. The same thing happened to me in KG Tang, who plays Dazai in Bungo Stray Dogs. I only met him for the first time last August, so it happens more often than you would think.
We're also recording in different states.
That's true, yes. You're in California and I'm in the DFW area, so yeah, that makes it all the more challenging.
Oh my God. So now, you both in your respective ways, LA was really big for you both in your careers. An interesting story, and Xanthe, I want to come to you and just kind of have you expand on how you got your start in your career, but LA was good for you both. Now, you said DFW, is that Dallas?
The Dallas-Fort Worth area, yeah.
Dallas-Fort Worth, and then LA is for you, Xanthe, is where you're at currently. For everybody here that was not a part of the Mad Lib Theater panel, I'd love you to just kind of go back at the beginning of your career and talk to us just about your awesome start and the competition that really sets you apart in your field. That's a very unique start. So go ahead and tell us about that.
Sure. So I entered an anime, it was like a voice acting competition at Anime Expo, where we had to find a monologue either from a video game or an anime. We memorized it, and then we came to the competition and performed it. And then from there, I actually made it as a finalist, and I didn't win, but the prize, if you won, was that you would get to go to the studio and audition for them. And even though I didn't win, they liked me enough that they brought me to they pulled me off stage, and they were like, "Oh, give us your contact info. We still want you to come in and read for us." So it was it's very unique way to get in. At the time, I didn't know anything about voiceover. I had some theater experience, and I think that really helped me ease my way into voiceover.
So for the two of you, and I think this is very interesting for the fans just to kind of pick up on, and just would love your thoughts comparatively between the two of you in voice acting for you both. It is a combination of video games that have served you both very, very well in your career. Also live action, dubbing, and anime. So Landon, let me start with you first. Just give us your thoughts on the differences between going full out with the anime and the dubbing side, and then Xanthe, have you bookend on that.
Basically some people have a romanticized view of what recording for anime is like, how it's like an old-time radio show, we're all in the same room in a semicircle and we all get to play off each other's energy. That sounds great, and I'd love to experience it someday, but that's just not the reality of how it works. Usually we're totally by ourselves in the booth, and then next door is the director and the engineer, and sometimes maybe a producer, and they're kind of guiding us through the session. And sometimes we record a couple of episodes at once, or if it's, if we're playing a bigger character, it can take a while to knock out one episode, if it's dialogue heavy. And it can vary from anywhere to 15 minutes to all the way to 4 hours. For video games, it can go even longer, 5 hours sometimes. Yeah, and video games, in my experience anyway, are more vocally stressful because usually in anime or in prelay for that matter, if your character dies, they only die once. With some exceptions. But with a video game though, there are a million ways to die in a video game because you're playing not just one death, but every permutation of every choice a character, or every choice a player could make. And so that means, there are so many different ways to die.
Players need to get better. Stop dying.
Yeah, stop it. If you guys were just a little bit better, we wouldn't have to suffer. Shot, stabbed, choked, eaten alive, burned up. That's the hardest one, is being fully immolated. That's the industry term, immolated.
Landon, I love immolated. For the audience out here, and we're probably going to do the same thing with Xanthe because we have to. Can you give us a vocalization of what being immolated might sound like? Do you guys want to hear that? Do you want to find out what immolated sounds like? I think they want this, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to hold the microphone far away. But a little bit louder and a little bit longer, but yeah. Apologies to everybody out there. We're fine, no worries.
No more energy drinks or caffeine for the room now. We are fully awake.
I'm being cut off, yes.
So Xanthe, for you, same thing. I mean, obviously for you, you've got video games on your roster, you've got the dubbing work, you've got anime, and to kind of add a question that I didn't get a chance to ask you in your panel, with all of that coming into play, how many languages are you fluent in, and what are you working on?
I'm fluent in English.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do dubbing for a lot of like stuff that's from other languages into English, and a lot of times we do depend heavily on like whether or not the director is also fluent in the language that it's coming from, because they're the ones being like, oh, the translator didn't quite translate this thought very well. Let me rewrite it really quickly, or yeah. So it's really nice to have somebody like with that point of view. There was a show that I worked on called Yuki Yuna as a Hero, where a lot of the writer took a lot of liberties. It was a dub, so they kind of changed what the script was about. Like instead of being like heartfelt and about friendship, it was all like, I'm going to be hero, it's all about me, I want all this fame and stuff. And so we have recorded almost like 2 episodes worth until the director was like, it doesn't seem to be working, it seems to be different from the translation. So he turned to the engineer, who happened to be Japanese, and was like, do you understand this? Can you tell me what's actually being said here? Because I can understand. I took some Japanese in college. I studied abroad there, and I was like, I don't think this is right, but I don't want to say anything because it's not my place as an actor to say that. But yeah, so I'm glad the director caught on, and he, so after asking the engineer, and he was explaining, he was like, that's completely different than this. So he had to go back to the staff and be like, can you have somebody double check all of this? And so they rewrote it, and we had to go back and re-record those beginning episodes to continue forward. Yeah, so I don't know. I know that's not your question, but that was like an instance of like where it helps if you know the language that is being translated to English. So you can kind of, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I think it's saying this instead of that. And so it can help like if they're rewriting something at most.